I think this is an interesting title, so, I read that little description as well. You can see it's a longer episode, 44 minutes, so let's dive in. Alright, so I finished episode 2. I'll say I absolutely loved it. I'm going to go into an in-depth review, but I'll say this kind of, although it's an episode series, reminds me of sort of those sequels better than the original, as this episode was so amazing, even better than the first episode, which was also amazing, so really excited to see how this series gets going. What I'm especially loving about Ahsoka is that it feels a lot like, a Star Wars series that is relevant to like the movies, such as like the prequels and the sequels, original trilogy. Sort of, it feels like a melting pot of the three. But what I will say is that although I did like many of the off series, that they kind of didn't really feel like they felt in place, or at least felt sort of different, but in a good way too, but different from the Star Wars cinema universe, so to speak, if that makes sense. But it sort of fits like a glove with all the other Star Wars movies, in my opinion. I'm super curious and excited to see how Thrawn is portrayed, if he's in the series, and what we learn about him in this Star Wars canon universe, because I've heard great things about the books, but I have yet to read them. But I have no doubt they're amazing, as I'm reading another Star Wars book at the moment, which is a prequel book talking about the Phantom Menace and the Jedi Council. Speaking of Jedi, I think Ahsoka's a great character in the series, really embodies a Jedi and is very likable and creative character. Definitely see a mix of Anakin and Obi-Wan's training respectively in her, if that makes any sense. I will say the two characters, the Master and Apprentice, who I don't think are technically Sith, but sort of Sith, well, when they just found out that there are more characters just like that, like they're following a Master, they're not just Sith existing on their own, or Sith existing on their own, that was super suspenseful and interesting in my opinion, and I'm really curious to see how the Master of the Master is, as well as the other apprentices, because I think these characters will run into Ahsoka, and when they do, I'm certainly excited for it. So, the Empire still has its followers and cult-like following and fans, which is interesting to see in this series, but when Ahsoka and the General, who was also a character from Rebels, I'm blanking on exactly her name, but she's definitely a super cool character as well as the other characters from Rebels that I recognize but can't name because I never really went through with the full Rebel series, because I found it a little boring, but not terribly boring, but just couldn't keep me hooked when I was a kid. But now I think I may go back and watch it on Disney Plus, but I'll do those reviews way down the line. So it's definitely cool to see them tie animated series like the Clone Wars and Rebels into live action. It's kind of like a dream come true, and part of me wishes I saw the series when it came out, but also the more logical part of me is excited that I'm here to watch it now, and really excited to see how episode 3 unfolds. And I can't wait for Anakin's appearance, because although I know I haven't watched the series, I have seen little clips of Anakin and Ahsoka, so it's definitely going to be super exciting, and that's definitely going to be a special vlog when it comes. But in conclusion, the series is definitely very fun, interesting, feels like the melting pot of the Star Wars cinema universe, as well as Star Wars in general. So until then, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more soon. Goodbye.